Hi, Tim Sells here. In the last video I was talking about learning from your social media and how brilliant that actually is. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what I call the scope strategy. And it's basically calling out the audience you want to serve. Okay, so what I'm talking about is lead generation on the pipeline, and the pipeline is what every business in the world and every organization in the world has to do in order to expand, all right? And so it starts off with lead generation, and then contact them, set an appointment to see some kind of a presentation. You serve your customer and you make money. You serve your employee or your representative in network marketing and you make money. All right, so it all starts with the lead generation portion, okay? So calling out the audience. Call out the audience you want to serve. An example, I post my social media 3 times about inflation. Okay, so the current inflation rates, maybe one of those is going to be a graph. Another one is going to be an article that is, like countrywide. And then another one's going to be a local article, right? And so what I'm doing is that I'm putting something out there and seeing the responses. If you remember back in my videos where I talk about promotion and constantly campaigning, that you want to campaign for a couple of months on the same topic, all right? But it's not the same campaign each time. In other words, it's not the same post each time. It is a different spin or a different direction on, okay? All right. So I post on my social media 3 times, reference inflation. The last promotion, using a personal video showing me at the gas pump or at the grocery store discussing prices that I was paying 2 years ago and comparing it to what they are today, all right? And so, and what I like to kind of do is throw in there something that has to do with that what they're giving as a nationwide rate is not what I'm seeing with bread, eggs, and gas. You know what I mean? So I do a little bit of a spin that way. And then I ask for comments. Is this only happening in Park City, Utah? Or is it also something you're seeing in your city or town? Respond and let me know if your city and if you're seeing the same prices I am. Okay? So I'm asking for a response. If you're not seeing the elevated prices in your area, let me know. It might be time for me to move. Okay? So what I'm doing here on this one, so this is kind of like the strategy, is that I keep getting people's attention, and here I get it more personal to me. And so then it causes them to look at them. So that's the whole idea. This is that, I call it floating the boat in the bathtub, see if it sinks. I'm pushing this out there, and then I'm getting deeper and deeper. And in other words, it's a global thing. It's a national thing. It's this state. It's me. It's coming right to me, and it's coming right to you. Okay. So that's the strategy of why I do it that way. So it gets closer and closer to them. All right. What's occurred? I've called out my audience to find out who is ticked off about inflation. I also find out how responsive, a little responsive, no, not responsive at all, or, like, how are the responses? All right, so I'll find out how responsive my audience is to inflation. Most people are in apathy about inflation, all right? So apathy means no use trying, okay? They've given up all hope. All right, well, then they're basically dead on that topic. In other words, they gave up, right? Okay, I'll get pathetic responses is what I call it, all right? Something like, same BS, different day. There's nothing we can do about corrupt government. Okay, so I'll get those kind of comments. Maybe the word inflation confuses the audience. If you think so, don't use the word. Okay, so inflation rate, people who are not around finance I don't think dig into it much to even find out. It's just higher prices on goods and services that you buy. That's all it is. And so they take a national average, and I don't know their math. It never adds up. And so that's why I like to do my own inflation rates in my own town, in my own grocery store. Perhaps there's a few or one that are antagonistic towards inflation, or even better, they're in action. Okay, so I did this whole thing to try to locate, call out my audience, those people who are willing to do something. I see a comment that reads, so frustrating. I had to get a second job just to put food on the table. Okay, there's my gal, there's my guy. Okay? In other words, it's somebody in action, somebody who is not giving me some pathetic type of thing. Because these people probably wouldn't do anything even if they got in business. You see? Because a person who has that attitude, that's a lot of work. Okay? So, see the comment, so frustrating. I had to get a second job. That's action. That's the person I want to talk to. Okay? I private message him and ask what kind of second job he started. Get the conversation started. Okay, so that's the whole strategy that I just walked through, and now I'll show it to you in an easy way to see it. So the wide scope is I promote to audience to find out who will respond to the topic. Narrow the scope. Sort those that respond. And then microscope, private message with each person. Okay? That gave a positive response. So now you can see the way that I work this thing. And so what I'm talking about when I say scope, I'm not talking about mouthwash. I'm not talking about a gun scope. I'm talking about the idea of the scope of a project. Okay, so we've got to build an airplane and we're looking at the cockpit. Sometimes you have to scope out in order to look at the whole thing. Okay, and probably same with a gun scope. So the concept here is that I want to do a post that is going to cause people to comment, to get response. So remember, it's attract, engage, for them to hear your message. Okay, and then what's going to happen is that the scope's going to narrow to the people that I can actually communicate to. And then for those, I'm going to go into private messaging with. Okay? I'm putting myself in his shoes. Okay, so this happened, and so I'm talking to him instead of her. All right, so I'm putting myself in his shoes. Not sympathy, I have empathy. Okay? The person doesn't need sympathy. They need empathy. In other words, somebody who's going to put themselves in that person's shoes and really understand where they are. What's their reality in the situation or on the situation? I want to know his reality. What's real to him right now? I want to learn what he's thinking and or doing about this problem. How does he feel about getting a second job? What burden did he take on to try to solve the problem? What did he forfeit to do this job? In other words, did he forfeit time with his kids? What's going on in that scene? Maybe I can help solve his problem. Okay? Now, this goes back to a video I did a while ago called What is Business? Making people's lives better. All right. And so in order to know how to make somebody's life better, you got to find out what their reality is, right? This is the process to learn how you can make their life better. All right. So now I hope you see this whole idea is, is do posts, talk about relevant topics, maybe that's trending, maybe that's going on in your own life or something like that. Okay. Do that. But don't go all in with the entire audience unless you know the whole audience. Why am I doing this? To help him win against inflation. That's what I'm trying to do. There's only one way to win against inflation, and that is increase your income. That's the only way to win in it. Here's another example. So there's a guy who's a musician. He did a funny post about lockdown 30. And it was having to do with COVID, gaining weight during the lockdowns. His social media were fans of his music, but he used this scope strategy. Fans commented, "I need to lose weight too." Okay, so he put up and talked about that he needs to, like he was basically putting the focus on himself, saying, "Man, I gained weight. I need to lose some of this stuff. It's this lockdown 30 got me." And he 30 pounds overweight. And so his fans commented, "I need to lose weight too." All right, all of those comments. And so this is a strategy that if you're known for a particular thing and you can't figure out how to solve that, where you're going to, like, they love your music, but you're not a weight loss coach or something like that, right? And so he promoted about himself that a lot of people agreed with. He then private messaged them, not sending a link to buy his stuff. He didn't do that. He private messaged them, but didn't send a link to buy his stuff. That would have been not okay. He asked them, "How much weight do you need or want to lose? Is it okay for me to share with you how I'm losing weight?" So he got permission. All right. And then he sent the link. All right. So tell me what you think about this. Number one is, what's your view on the wide, narrow, and microscope strategy? Okay. Give me your view. And also, does this appear better than posting without knowing? Right? And also, I'm going to just imagine there's a 3 here. Give me your strategy. What have you used? How have you done it to where it was within the reality of the people? Allowable, if you will. In other words, does your social media audience allow that? Right? So that's really what we're talking about is, I put it out in another video, which is nobody wants to be sold, but everybody buys stuff. Right? They'll be antagonistic that you're promoting something, but they'll go over to Amazon and buy something. Right? Why? It's because Amazon has the reality of buying. And over here, hey, we're supposed to be talking about trending stuff, or ourselves or something like that. So share with us in the comments what you've used or seen be effective as well. All right. And so if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. It's the only way that the algorithm of YouTube will turn around and say, "Hey, I'm going to show this to other people who are in network marketing." And so that'll help us all out. And then also we have a Telegram group. You're welcome to come in. That is where I learn from my audience as to what I'm supposed to be communicating here on YouTube. All right. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you.